What would you do if the one thing you trusted to connect your family became the very thing that tore it apart? The night everything broke was a Tuesday. It wasn't the screaming fights you see in movies. It was quiet, silence so heavy it felt like drowning. I was sitting in our daughter Lily's room, the glow of her iPad painting streaks across the walls. She'd forgotten it at my mother's house, and I'd promised to charge it for school the next day. That's when I saw it. A notification, not for a game or a YouTube video, but an iMessage. From a name I didn't recognize? The preview text was just 3 words. But they detonated a bomb in the silent sanctuary of my life. He suspects nothing. My wife's messages synced to our daughter's iPad. My world wasn't just cracking, it was splitting open at the seams, revealing a rot I never knew existed. If you genuinely enjoy our stories, please subscribe to the channel, tell us where you're from, and what time it is right now. It's always fascinating to know how far our story flows. For 10 years, Sarah wasn't just my wife. She was my entire world. We built a life in a quiet suburb of Chicago. 2-story house with a yard Lily's friends called the Fun House. I worked in logistics. Long hours managing freight lines. But every second was for them. I thought we were happy. I thought the foundation we'd built was solid granite. But that night, reading through months of synced messages, I learned our foundation was sand. The man's name was Mark, a real estate developer she'd met at a charity gala I was too tired to attend. Their messages were a sickening mix of inside jokes, explicit plans, and cruel mockery of me. They called me the warden, Mr. Predictable. He'd sent her a photo from the Hotel Palomar in downtown Chicago, a room I'd once booked for our anniversary, with the caption, "Wish you were here instead of with him." She'd replied, "Soon, he's too clueless to notice." Clueless. That's what I was. The late nights, she said, were with her book club. The weekend trips with girlfriends to Distress in Miami was all him. I scrolled until my thumbs were numb, my heart a cold, dead weight in my chest. She'd become a stranger, a performer playing the role of a loving wife, while her real life happened in secret hotel rooms and whispered phone calls. The woman I loved was a ghost, and in her place was this cold, manipulative creature who laughed about my devotion with another man. That night, something inside me broke. The loyal, loving husband died, and in his place, something else, something cold and strategic began to stir. The humiliation was a fire in my gut, but I didn't scream. I didn't confront her. I just sat there in the dark, the iPad's glow illuminating a new, terrible path forward. My revenge wouldn't be a single, fiery explosion. It would be a slow, meticulous demolition of the life she thought she had secured. The next morning, I was a ghost in my own home, made Lily's breakfast, kissed Sarah goodbye as she left for her yoga class, and all the while, I was playing a part just like her. My first step was information. I was no longer the trusting husband. I was a detective, and our home was a crime scene. I installed a keylogger on her laptop, a simple piece of software she'd never notice. I hired a private investigator, a grizzled ex-cop named Frank, whose only question was, "You want the pictures, the financials, or both?" I told him everything. The evidence started pouring in. Receipts from a diner on Rush Street I'd never been to. These past records showing her car crossing into Indiana on days she was supposedly at a local spa. Frank sent the first set of photos a week later. It was them, Sarah and Mark, leaving a restaurant in the Gold Coast, her hand tucked into his arm, laughing that carefree laugh I hadn't heard in years. The sight of it didn't hurt anymore. It was just fuel. The villains felt untouchable, wrapped in their arrogance. Sarah became even colder at home, sighing with theatrical frustration. If I asked about her day, her eyes glazing over with boredom. She was trying to push me away, to manufacture a reason for the eventual split she was planning. Little did she know, I was planning one too. The emotional toll was immense. There were nights I'd lock myself in the bathroom, turn on the shower to drown out the sound, and just let the silent tears fall. The man in the mirror was a stranger, hollowed out, aged a decade and a month. But every time I felt myself breaking, I'd look at the growing file of evidence in my desk drawer. It was a testament to her betrayal, but it was also my blueprint for justice. The plan began to form, not just for a divorce, but for total annihilation. I learned Mark's real estate company was seeking a massive public zoning variance for a new high-rise project in the West Loop. It was controversial, and he'd been greasing palms and making promises to the city council. His entire career was riding on it. Sarah, I discovered, had been funneling money from our joint savings account into a private one, preparing her exit. She'd even had a lawyer draft a divorce petition claiming emotional neglect, positioning herself as the victim to get the house, the savings, and primary custody of Lily. They thought they were so smart, so untouchable. They had no idea I was watching every move. The trap was set. I used a burner phone to send an anonymous tip to a Bulldog reporter at the Chicago Tribune about Mark S. under-the-table dealings with a city official, complete with scanned bank records Frank had acquired. For Sarah, the plan was more personal. Our 10th anniversary was approaching. She'd forgotten, of course, but I hadn't. I told her I was booking a surprise trip for us, a second honeymoon to rekindle the flame. I showed her fake reservations for a resort in Hawaii. She feigned excitement, her eyes sparkling with crocodile tears, all while texting Mark that she'll have to be out of touch for a week, but would make it up to him.
Oh.
The real event was a party. I invited our entire world friends, family, colleagues, even her parents who flew in from Florida. I billed it as a surprise anniversary celebration. She walked into the restaurant, our favorite spot on the river, and her face lit up with what looked like genuine shock and joy. She played the part perfectly, hugging me, thanking me, a loving wife in front of her adoring audience. The climax came after the main course. I stood up, champagne glass in hand, and tapped the side. "I have a toast to make," I began, my voice steady, betraying none of the storm raging inside me. "To my wife, Sarah, for 10 years of marriage, 10 years of worse performances." A confused murmur rippled through the room. Sarah's smile tightened. I continued, "Most of you know me as a loyal husband, a predictable man. But you learn things when you start paying attention. For instance, you learn that your wife's book club is actually a 2-bedroom suite at the Hotel Palomar. You learn her yoga retreats or trips to Miami with her lover." I gestured to a large screen behind me. I'd told the restaurant was for a slideshow of our life together. The first picture flashed on the screen. Sarah and Mark kissing outside the Gold Coast restaurant. Gasps filled the room. Her mother let out a small cry. Sarah's face went white as a sheet. I clicked the remote. The next slide was a screenshot of her texts. "He suspects nothing." Then another, a bank statement from her secret account. Then another, a photo of them in a hotel lobby. Slide after slide, I laid her betrayal bare for everyone to see. "So I'd like to toast the man who showed my wife such a good time, Mark," I said, my eyes locking onto his across the room. He was one of Mark's business associates I'd invited. He looked like he'd seen a ghost. And to Sarah, I said, turning back to her. Her face was a mask of horror and hatred. "The divorce papers will be served tomorrow. My lawyer has copies of everything you see here. You will get nothing. Not the house, not the savings, and you will not get custody of our daughter." I placed my wedding ring on the table, the clink echoing in the dead silence. Then I walked out, leaving her to be devoured by the judgment of the world we had built together. The next day, the Tribune story on Mark's bribery scandal broke, and his project, along with his career, imploded. He was ruined. Sarah was ruined, a social pariah with no money and no allies. I live in a different city now, just me and Lily. The house was sold. The life I had is a crater, a memory of a war I didn't start but was forced to finish. Sometimes late at night, I think about that Tuesday, about the glow of the iPad and the 3 words that ended my world. It wasn't a victory. It was a quiet, haunting survival. My heart is a locked room, and I am the only one with the key. The end.